As the holidays and New Year's come around, it can be very challenging for those of us who are doing our strength training to keep the momentum going. This can really derail our progress by a few weeks, if not months, as we come back in and have to work into that routine once again. Today, I'm going to share with you a short 15-minute routine to help you stronger on the road, no matter where you are and what equipment you do or don't have. Now, this workout is something that cyclists and triathletes alike can do. I don't recommend doing this for longer than 2 or 3 weeks at a time, as this is really a stand-in, allowing us to continue to put stress on the systems and the tissues necessary to allow you to continue to see progress through the often tumultuous times that are the holiday season and New Year, if you want to call it that. But let's get into the exercises. Our first exercise after a short dynamic warm-up is going to be the 3-1-3-1 tempo goblet squat. Now, this video is showing me holding a kettlebell, but you can just as easily use a Trader Joe's or Whole Foods reusable bag with a couple filled water bottles, or you can just put rice in there and hopefully a container instead of spilling it in. But you can be imaginative and use what you have. Even a suitcase will work. Now, the key to the 3-1-3-1 tempo is taking that time on the way down and counting Mississippi with a 1 second full dead stop at the bottom, teaching you how to keep your glutes, your midsection, your quadriceps, and your feet all engaged, and then slowly coming up off of the ground or away from the ground, pushing the ground away. Now, this exercise looks very easy, but by holding that kettlebell or the Trader Joe's bag or whatever it is you're having just a few inches away from your body, you're actually activating your entire 360-degree core, which allows you to be able to learn how to tie your rib cage and pelvis together, which is going to allow you to get better performance on the bike, swim, or run. Now, this exercise we're going to do for a set of 6 to 8 repetitions. So remember, each rep is around 8 seconds. So that's a lot of time under tension. So be gentle and be kind the first time you go through this. Now, immediately after that exercise, we're going to move into the side lying windmill. Now, you'll notice this is a dynamic movement. We want to make sure we're going through this with the eyes on the fingertips and reaching long through the fingertips as we go up and around. Now, this is a very challenging exercise, as most of us ride the bikes or swim or bike in a very closed position in our shoulders. So it's not uncommon to feel tightness in the shoulders or the chest. Go through the range of motion that you have that's pain-free, and try breathing in as you close the hands and out as you bring that hand up and around. We'll do about 6 to 8 repetitions on each side, finishing all reps on one side and then going to the other. Now, our next exercise is going to be a kind of a stand-in for plyometrics, or it's really the basis before plyometrics that a lot of people don't know that they can and should do. And these are Snapdowns. These are fantastic exercise to help you learn how to get the coordination from the nervous system to go from a full-on tall position with the ribs stacked over the pelvis, the knee straight, the chin tucked back, and the arms as high overhead as you can while keeping those ribs stacked, and then firing the nervous system to drop down and absorb quietly and use your abs, your glutes, and your quadriceps to absorb the force coming down. Now, this exercise is very powerful, but only needs to be done in very small amounts. We're talking about doses of between 4 and 6 repetitions will allow you to see the results that you want. Now, make sure you stick the bottom for about 2 seconds. And when I say stick, I mean freeze. So it should be soft. You should have your chin just tucked back, and your chest should be back over your knees. So we want to make sure you're not going down into a riding position. Now, this exercise is going to be followed by the founder's pose. Now, one word of wisdom here. I'm programming these exercises in a very specific order because I'm looking for a purposeful outcome, and that is I want to put stress on the tissues that you need to have get stronger on the bike or the run, as well as helping you to have better balance. So the exercise order is a very large part of the exercise prescription here. So you've got to do these in order. So we went from a squat to a dynamic upper body thoracic rotation exercise, getting something that a lot of us as cyclists and triathletes don't get, and that's upper back extension, as well as rotation through the upper spine. And then we're going through a plyometric, so using that newly found range to learn how to use the core to absorb everything together. Now, the next exercise is the founder's pose. Now, the founder's pose is something that I think is drastically underutilized, and it is a great way for you to get a solid workout in while you are just traveling. Now, Eric Goodman and Peter Park have the book Foundation. So if you'd like to see their training, this is not a paid advertisement for them, but it's a fantastic book and it's something that can really help you out as you go through. So I do recommend it. But we take from that book specifically the founder's pose. Now you'll notice here, I have you holding each pose for 15 seconds. Now this sounds very easy, but when you get it right, it is very challenging. So you're going to go through just one round. That's going to take you about 1 minute and 10 to 15 seconds. And make sure you're including that breathing at the end to decompress the spine and allow things to reset. Now from there, we are actually going to go over to the side plank top foot forward. And this is an exercise, these next two exercises have to be done with impeccable form. So I strongly recommend videotaping yourself as you go through these. Now the side plank top foot forward is actually how you can get more reward out of the side plank, because you're going to get the lower legs glute med, the lower legs obliques, as well as the upper legs adductors, and your lats and chest and shoulder, all involved in holding this position. Now, the key to this is not to hold it for long periods of time. This has become something that's very popular, is how long can you plank for? I think the world record at this point is like 36 hours for a front plank, which is insane. But if we're actually looking for increasing performance, we have to remember that blood flow and limitation of blood flow is going to drastically change whether or not you get the results that you want. So we're taking what's called, what's from the Russian pyramid system. So we're just taking a piece of that, and what we're going to do is we're going to go one round each side. So one set of 7 times, 7 seconds up, and 3 seconds rest on the ground each side. Now the key to this exercise is that when you're up in that position, you want to make sure the chin is tucked and you have that straight line from the ear, shoulder, to the back hip, to the back knee, to the back ankle. So you really want to make sure that you're in a straight line, not letting the ribs flare, not letting the head come forward or come up. That will allow you to really get a lot out of this. And this exercise is deceptively challenging. It will push you. So 7 times, 7 seconds on, 3 seconds off, rest for about 30 seconds, and then go to the opposite side. Now our last exercise is going to really challenge you to keep great proximal stiffness. So everything between your neck, elbows, and knees needs to be just stiff enough to allow you to get movement from the hip and shoulder. Now this is the bird dog with a 10-second squeeze. Now when we squeeze, we want to use the muscles of the mid-back, not the upper traps, but the middle of the back, as well as the glutes. Now the challenge with this is making sure you're pushing the floor away, keeping your ribs and hips locked together, and keeping that chin back. This exercise will knock your socks off, especially at the end here. So we've used the rest of the exercises here to kind of warm up to get to this, where you should be moving well. We're going to go for one set of 4 repetitions on each side. So up, squeeze for 10 seconds, and down. And pay attention to how you bring that leg and arm down. We don't want to let anything go in through the midsection. We want to stay nice and solid. So to go through the routine, once again, I recommend about a 10 to 15 minute dynamic warm-up. This can be simply walking outside. If it's freezing, of course, you want to wear a jacket. It could be going through some breathing exercises, some light jogging, some jump rope. It could even be riding your bike or walking up and down the stairs, but some type of movement before you jump into this exercise routine. Now, from there, our exercises are as follows. 3-1, 3-1 tempo goblet squats for one set of 6 to 8. Then we have side-lying windmills for one set of 6 to 8 each side. Finish the reps on one side and then move to the other. Then we have snapdowns, one set of 5 to 6, making sure that you're absorbing and holding that bottom position. Then we have the founder's pose, one time through each pose for 15 seconds. And then from there, we go into our side plank top foot forward, one set each side of 7 times, 7 seconds on, 3 seconds off. Rest for 30 seconds between sides, and then our bird dog with a 10-second squeeze. Each rep, one set of 4 repetitions each side. Make sure you finish all reps on one side and then switch to the other. So as I went through this video, there's a lot of different exercises in here. Well, not really, just 6, but you will find going through this routine, it'll knock your socks off. It'll have you working and you'll come out of this feeling accomplished. It allows you to get a lot of important work done in a very condensed amount of time. And if you're doing that 10 to 15 minute warm-up, dynamic warm-up, we're talking about a half hour. And I know some of you don't have that. That's why I built this program this way, is because if you need to, you can jump right into the 3-1, 3-1 tempo goblet squats and feel yourself warm up as you go through the routine. And you no longer have that excuse to skip your strength training because you don't have your bands, you don't have your kettlebell. And this is a variation of a program I've used with some of the professional and semi-professionals that have traveled over the years with fantastic results. Now, if you found this video to be useful, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And until next time, remember, train smarter, not harder, because it is all about you keeping up your consistency. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here on the channel.